And Gideon built an altar to the Lord there and named it Yahweh Shalom, which means the Lord is peace. The altar remains in Ophrah in the land of the clan of Abiezar to this day. Yahweh Shalom, the Lord, our peace. And now many times when we hear a passage like that, we think of what? When we think of peace, and I mentioned this before, but I want to hit this again. When we think of peace, we think about the absence of conflict. Like when we think about the Ukraine right now, what we want is peace. And what we want, the idea that peace is now, it is absent of conflict. They and Russia have drawn a treaty of peace and surrender with one another, and now there's no longer that battle. Like it's done. Not necessarily surrender, but the conflict is over. It's done. Okay, that's only an element of peace. I want to give you a picture of what this peace that the Bible talks about, this shalom that the Bible talks about. Because it's not just peace or absence of conflict, it is wholeness. So this kind of peace would be that the Ukraine has now entered a peace with Russia, and now Russia comes in and rebuilds the cities of Ukraine. That's the kind of peace that the Bible is talking about. That's shalom. So it isn't just being absent of conflict, it is being made whole. It's two parts coming together to become whole. And that's what God desires for you. He doesn't desire for you just to have a life absent of conflict. He desires for you to be whole. And so when you look at this passage, realize how much peace that God is proposing to bring into Gideon's life. First of all, we'll eventually have peace where there will be the absence of conflict. But also, we'll have Gideon step into his role as mighty hero. So all of a sudden, now Gideon is healed and resolved to being who God created him to be. And not only that, now Gideon is right in his relationship with God. We are talking about complete wholeness. That is what God desires in you when he is your Yahweh Shalom, your Jehovah Shalom. He is the Lord of your peace. He desires for you to be whole. That's why Jesus Christ went to the cross. Jesus Christ didn't just go to the cross so that you would no longer be in conflict with God. No. He went to the cross so that now your sins can be forgiven, and as a result of your forgiveness, you are now whole. Because now God can come and he can live in you. And you can have that rich relationship with him that you are designed to have. That's what it means. And so that's what I encourage you. Don't just settle for being happy with no conflict. No, that's not peace. Not completely. Seek to become whole. God, who am I in you? And don't rest until you know for sure who you are in him and you're able to see yourself as he sees you. So I don't know, mighty warrior, that may be what he sees. Strong, confident, loved, accepted, forgiven. I don't know. There's a name that he has for you. And I wonder if you see yourself again the way that he sees you. So I'm talking to the coach, and I'm talking about my struggle with my confidence. And my coach says, he gives me a story that his coach gave to him years before that. And he said, and here was the illustration. Let's say that you go to a party, and you walk into the party, and you're looking around, and you see people who are more financially well off than you. You see people who are more beautiful than you. And then you also begin to hear about some of their jobs and what they're doing, and you compare your job to what it is that you do. And as you walk into this party, all it does is you just exude inadequacy. And so the question is, what would you do at that party? How would you respond? You know what we do? We go to the wall, and we kind of blend in, And we'd hope that no one notices us. Because I don't want to have to talk about my job that's inadequate to yours. I don't look as good as you do. I don't dress as well as you do. I'm just here because of my friend. Right? So what we do is we find a corner that we can go into and that we can hide so that no one will notice who we really are. My coach said, that's what we do when we're afraid. And he said, here's what my coach encouraged me to do. Because this is a mindset that we have as humans. Anytime we're in a situation where we feel overwhelmed, where we feel unqualified, what we do is we tend to withdraw, or we tend to hide, or we tend to hope that no one notices our existence. We try to get ourselves out of the situation. So he said, Ken, here's what I want you to do. Here's what my coach encouraged me to do. My coach said, instead of standing on the wall, I want you to go stand in the middle of the room. And I want you to begin to go around. And the idea behind being in the middle of the room is like, well, now, look at me. And you walk around and you begin to talk to people as confident as you are. And just be yourself and be confident. So he gave me a challenge. And here's the challenge he gave me. He said, Ken, here's what I want you to do. Is for the next 60 days, I want you to believe that Encounter is exactly where it needs to be at this point right now. That God has led you to this point. Even in the midst of all the challenges it feels like you're facing, it's exactly where you need to be right now, where it needs to be. And then he said, Ken, I want you for 60 days to pretend like you're the guy. Even if you just pretend. And he said, how would Encounter be different if you just pretended? And I'll tell you this. I don't know if you've noticed this, but the last few weeks my sermons have been different. They've been different. I've gone back and I've watched myself. That confidence is there. That belief is there. And so now I'm just trying to hold on to that. The God, I believe I'm the person for this job. You have us exactly where we need to be, and you're guiding us to where you desire for us to be. That's what I'm holding on to. Why? I'm at peace. I'm whole. He's my shalom. So here's my encouragement. How is God your peace? How is he your shalom?